Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great Monday. I'm just typing a little message in the chat of YouTube to say we are live. Hello, everyone. Okay, hope everyone can see that. Okay, looks good so far. Other than the little mess behind us, but just ignore that. Okay, we're going to go live on Facebook too. Hello, YouTube, and hello, Facebook. I hope everybody can see me okay. I just wanted to hop on a couple of minutes early just to make sure that we have a right connectivity. We did have a little bit of a comment issue on YouTube last time. So I'm hoping that everybody can see and hear me well from both platforms. So I'm just going to double check. If you are watching from YouTube, please just leave me a little comment to say hi. I do have Jason moderating the YouTube at home, so if there is any questions or concerns, I will. He'll be able to help you out with that, just in case our comments are etc. So hello, hi Lorraine, hi Christine. Okay, so I see my Facebook is working. That is good. And I'm just going to triple check here for YouTube. So far, so good. I see my hello, so I just want to make sure that I can see your guys' hello. So welcome to our, I'm not going to say monthly, but our occasional book talk episode. So some months of the year, we recently had this in January. A few months of the year, we have kind of a read-along book. And in January, for those of you who were playing in January, our whole theme was book club, actually. So we did kind of like the book was called the Bordeaux Book Club, and our whole box was built around the colors of the book. We opened certain things on certain pages, and it was super, super fun. Okay, so I'm not seeing any chat on YouTube. Hello, Facebook. Okay, so I see everybody on Facebook, so that's going well. Okay, and I see that I have 2 people watching, but I don't have any comments. So if you are watching live from YouTube, please leave me a comment in the chat just so that I know you're here and that you can hear me and see me. There is also a chance that the comments are there. I just can't see them on the studio part of YouTube as well. So we're gonna zip right in here. So in January, we did kind of our whole box centered around the book club theme, which I thought was super fun. I love the book. And for this month, this is a little bit different because we just are doing kind of a read along. So the only comment that I heard in January was, oh, it was like so much pressure to like finish the book and all that. And that's not really what was not my intent. I wanted it to be just a fun little extra activity. In January, oftentimes you're kind of looking for something to do, right? So, oh, hello. Oh, Jason can see me. Hi. Okay, so the comments are working. Yeah, awesome. So I wanted it to be just kind of casual, right? So the book club, I don't want anyone to feel like they have to finish it and kind of, like make notes and stuff. I want it to be an enjoyable experience. So that's where I kind of reimagined it as a read along for the August box. So if you are watching us from Facebook or YouTube, please let us know where you're watching from, and are you watching live or on the replay? We would love to know where in the world you're watching from. So for the August box, our theme was tropical vacation. And I know it kind of feels like we're going back a bit in our boxes. And that's because I wanted to give you guys a chance to read the book, or if you wanted to. And a lot of the girls don't open their box until Blingo nights. That was like only kind of gave you about 2 or 3 weeks to read the book. So I didn't want it to do it too early in case people hadn't finished it. I didn't want it to do it too late because then you'd forget about it. So I kind of thought this was 3 or 4 weeks was kind of an ideal situation. So that's kind of why it's today. So for me, I love to read. It's something that I do on vacation, and it's what sort of sets my mind at ease kind of from all of the day-to-day activities, I guess is the best way to say it. So the read along is nice, I think, because it really takes you away, and especially this particular read along really takes you away. So without further ado, I have prepared 4 questions. This is going to take about 30 to 40 minutes. So let's get moving. And the more interactive, the better. Pat has a comment. Hi, Pat, watching live from home. Had to read all 3 in the series. Need to know how the story ended. Okay, so there's a question in there for Pat. So yes, thank you so much, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. So yeah, I prepared 4 questions and kind of just a really quick chat. So I am going to moderate, and then feel free to chat amongst each other. And then I'm going to go home and read all the comments and chat as well with you guys. So I can see, if I lean close, I can see the Facebook comments. So yeah, so awesome. So our theme was tropical vacation. And this is one of my personal favorite books. It is set in a tropical locale, which is why we chose this. This is the book is called Winter in Paradise by Elin Hildebrand. And this is the first in a trilogy, as Pat said. So there is also Trouble in Paradise. And what was the other one, Pat, if you have it handy? So there's Trouble in Paradise, Winter in Paradise, which is the first one. And I forget what the third one's called. Anyways, it's a trilogy. And this is the first book in it. And I'm going to read you just a little summary of it, just in case you didn't read it, which is no big deal. I've read all 3 things. Oh, yes. And Arlene read them too. I know. It's so Elin Hildebrand is one of my favorite authors. I would say almost all of her books. If I occasionally find one that I don't have, probably 30 books in the series. And what I love about her is that most of her books are set on Nantucket. And so it's, again, takes you away from your regular mundane life. That's kind of what reading does for me. It sort of takes you away. So this trilogy is set on a nearby island, but not Nantucket. It's set on St. John's, U.S. Virgin Islands. And I love it because it's set in places that are actually there in most cases. Oh, 10,000 steps. I think my phone thinks that I'm like 10,000 steps. It's, I think when my hands are moving, it counts it as a step. So I'll take it. So yeah, so these 3 are set on St. John's, U.S. Virgin Islands. I have not been there, but I am going to be going there in March. We are going away for our 25th anniversary. And so St. John, U.S. Virgin Islands is one of our ports. Actually, it's St. Thomas, but there's an excursion to St. John. So I will be actually able to go to the places in the book. So as a book lover, this is thrilling for me. So totally thrilling. Okay. So I'll just tell you the 4 questions, and then I'll read you a summary of kind of what I printed out from the book, in case you haven't read it. Okay. So the first one is the question of identity and invisibility. Number 2, the island of St. John as a character in the book. Number 3, your favorite character in the book and why. Last book, What Happens in Paradise. Thank you. Yes. So Trouble in Paradise, and then What Happens in Paradise is the third one. And then the 4th one is all about romances. So those are the 4 questions that we're going to delve into today. Okay, so Winter in Paradise by Elin Hildebrand follows Irene Steele, our protagonist, whose seemingly perfect life is shattered when her husband dies in a helicopter crash on the Caribbean island of St. John. So if you haven't read it yet and you want to, there is going to be a few spoilers in here. Not like I'm going to not tell you what happens at the end, but I am going to reference some of the characters and what happens to them in the book. So if you want a spoiler, read the book first and then watch this later. Arriving to learn more about his death, Irene and her 2 sons discovered that Russ Steele, her husband, was leading a secret life there. They must then untangle the complex web of deceit and betrayal, making it a good romance novel, while facing the truth about their family and their own futures as they are drawn into the island's vibrant culture. Okay, so first the book starts off with a shocking phone call. Irene Steele receives a phone call on a cold, snowy night informing her that her husband, Russ, had been killed in a helicopter crash while on a business trip. Except that she didn't know he was on a business trip there. She knew he was on a trip, but she didn't know it was there. Journey to St. John. Irene and her 2 grown sons, Baker and Cash, travel to the tropical island of St. John in the Caribbean to deal with the aftermath and understand the circumstances of Russ's death. A hidden life. Upon arrival, they discover that Russ was not just on a business trip. He was living a secret life on the island. Unraveling the truth. The family begins to unravel the mystery, confronting the reality of their husband and father's double life, which includes a second family and questionable business. And then at the end, a new beginning. As they process the betrayal, Irene and her sons become immersed in the island's culture, facing the difficult truth about their family and their own evolving lives. Okay, so definitely a cliffhanger at the end for sure. So if you haven't read it yet, so if you've read it, please let me know. So Pat's read it, Arlene's read it. Anyone else read the book? And how did you read it? So did you buy it at the store, Chapters or wherever? Did you order it online? Did you listen to it on Audible or Goodreads or Apple Books or anything like that? Did you borrow it from the library? Did you borrow it from the library's Libby app? All kinds of ways to read it and consume it. So I love to listen to books when I'm running. So I used to listen to business books, and then now I listen to sort of like just like fun books and that's sort of my treat. So I don't listen to them at all until I run. So I'm like, hey, get out there if you want to see what happens, right? So right now I'm listening to the Virgin River series. So I'm watching it concurrently with the books, which is what I did with Outlander. I love Outlander, but I love the Outlander books even more than the Outlander show. Like I like the Outlander show and I love the characters and everything. But I love the books, and I listen to the books on Audible mostly because I would never get the accents right. And I would never get the pronunciation of some of the names, right? So that's why I listen to that type of book on Audible. And again, when I'm running, like you just want to keep going, right? And on Outlander, like I think the first book was like 48 hours of Audible. Like it was just crazy how long it was on Audible. And then so I'll read the first book and then I'll watch this first season, and then I'll read the second book and watch the second season. And in Outlander, there isn't it doesn't go book to season. Like they've put 2 books into some of the other ones. So you have to be a bit careful with that because you don't want to watch too far ahead and see what's in the book. Hello. Hi, Christine. Ordered on Amazon and have read 3/4 of it. Can't wait to finish. Okay, so I definitely am not going to tell you what happens at the end. So we're gonna have no ending spoilers for this. Okay, so the first and first of all, did you guys like it? So Christine said she liked it. Pam watched live from Gimli. I listened to it on Audible. Okay, so perfect. And so what did you guys think? Do you think this was a good choice of book to kind of go in with the tropical vacation theme? Would you have liked to see something different, like another genre? Like for my book people, what are you reading right now that you love that you think might be a fun one to include? Maybe for like a December or maybe January. We'll kind of try to do it 2 or 3 times a year and just kind of see how it goes. So I think it's fun to read together as well. But like I say, I don't want this to be one more thing to do in your day. I just wanted this to be fun. So yeah. Okay. So the first question that I had after kind of rereading the book a little bit is the question of identity. And that can kind of be thought of in 2 different ways. So the theme of the invisible man. So that won't be a spoiler. So our Russ Steele is the invisible man. Hello. Hi, Roseanne. Read them a few years ago and enjoyed it. Awesome. Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Lorraine. Hi, Betty Ann. Hi, guys. Okay. So first of all, in this sort of identity, we have the invisible man. Kind of weird and a bit creepy, but okay, we're going to go with it. And one thing that I think I identified with, and probably lots of people who are in my age bracket will identify with. Hi, Heather. Hi, guys. I'm just trying to scroll my comments and catch a couple people before they scroll up to the top. Is the notion of invisibility. And so when we think of being visible versus not visible, is it sort of like, I always want to say like somebody's mom, right? Like you're somebody's mom, or you're somebody's wife, or you're somebody's boss, or you're somebody's whatever. And where does that part start and being yourself end, right? So women of a certain age, it's like blend in and wear beige, right? It's like lots of people who are, if they're shopping for a dress for their son's wedding, like the mother-in-law, be quiet and wear beige. I'm like, well, I'm out. That's it. I don't wear beige ever. But the notion of the invisibility part does kind of resonate in that light as well, right? So you get to a certain age and you stop becoming who you are, right? And I think that sometimes it's important to sort of pull that back a bit, and whether that means reinvention or whether that means just stepping out into your own light, right? So stepping out into the light that you are and that your personality is. And so sometimes we just sort of get so set in the everyday that it's just like, you're on the hamster wheel going, going, going. And maybe something that really epitomizes what you are and who you are is your shining light. So whether that is a hobby, whether that's a color, whether that's a food, whether that's an occupation, things that bring you joy make you visible. So that's kind of when I was rereading it, that to me is what it is. So anyway, just chew on that for a little while and let's move on to the visibility part. So Irene thinks of herself as invisible, especially in the beginning of the book when she has dinner with her friend in the very beginning, and the friend is flirting with the barista, and she thinks, oh, I could never do that. Right. I am a certain age. I'm a married woman. I would never. And at that point, she still thinks she's married. Right. Of course, she doesn't know that her husband has been in the helicopter crash. So she says about her friend, oh, isn't that great? Like she's doing such a, good for her for getting herself out there. But then she still views herself as being invisible. So interesting. So there's that. Then what's the best way to say it? So does she view herself as invisible also in her marriage? And I think in parts of the book, it says, like, had she looked back, would she do things differently? Would she make more of an effort? Like she did, redid her Victorian house and threw herself into that project, and that sort of became her identity. If she, did a little bit more, if she made the effort with her husband or went on vacation or took time away from her house, maybe that would be different, right? So that's the invisible part. Like that could come into the invisibility part as well. Should have brought my water. I always talk this much, but seems always like this is more of a talking episode. So the last person that I feel is sort of invisible could be Baker. And so Baker is the elder son, and he's a stay-at-home dad, and his wife is a high-powered surgeon, and he has a gaggle of, what does he call them? School moms or something? Mom friends or school moms or something. And so in that group, he doesn't feel invisible. So he feels like a contributing member of society to their group, right? He plans stuff. He's a great cook, all that kind of stuff. He helps them with their kids. He picks up, all that kind of thing. But to his wife, he feels invisible because he doesn't have, like, he's just, like, in the beginning of the book, it becomes fairly apparent that the wife is sort of the power in the relationship and whatever. So I'm not going to say what happens, but anyway, so it's not just a female thing. It can be an anybody thing. So where in the book, so the first question is the question of identity. Do you feel there's any other character in the book that does deal with the question of invisibility? So like the last person that I could think of to a lesser extent would be Rosie, because like people are like, oh, well, does the invisible man really exist? Right. And so is she invisible? Does she view herself as invisible because he has a whole nother family? Right. So she makes herself be invisible because she doesn't want to be found out. And so I was really drawn in by this concept of invisibility. And so on the flip side, stepping into your light and whatever that light is for you, is kind of what I took away from that comment. So what do you guys think? Anybody else in the book that you feel could view themselves as invisible, right? I guess actually every character you could sort of, put it into, even heirs. I love that name. Ayers, such a pretty name. As well, right? So we have the Mick and Bridget situation and all that. So, okay. So the question of identity is our first thought. So what are our thoughts on identity? And let me know what you think in the comments. Okay. Number 2 is the island of St. John as a character. Do you think it's accurate to say the island of St. John is a central character in the book? Yes or no? Do you think the book could be written without all of the idyllic details of St. John or not? Would it feel different if it were on another Caribbean island or if it were in Nantucket? So if it were in Nantucket, it would have a totally different feel than the St. John piece. So, okay, so I did do a little bit of research on this. Okay, so part of it for, where is my, oh yeah. So in the prologue of the book, she actually says, author's note, so it's on page 7 in the Roman numeral pages. She wrote the book as if Hurricane Irma did not occur on St. John. So, as many of you know, both the United States Virgin Islands and British Virgin Islands sustained massive damage during Hurricanes Irma, Jose, and Maria in the fall of 2017. The island is not the same. Many of the island businesses, places I really and truly loved, either shut down temporarily or closed for good. So I'm not going to read this whole thing, but that is an actual fact. We had been to the British Virgin Islands before. Oh, hi, Debbie. I thought it was a good summer read before bed. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Well, yay. I know my YouTube's working now. We had been to the British Virgin Islands as well as the U.S. Virgin Islands before Hurricane Irma. And we had been there after as well. So the devastation, we were actually supposed to be on a cruise in the fall of 2018 to that exact part of the world. So it was, although a very super disappointing experience to have our cruise canceled, obviously we were like devastated for the people and the places that we had met when we were there. So firsthand, I can certainly tell you that that is in fact the case. It is part of the reason why I really want to go back is just to see. So St. John, I actually have not been to, but St. Thomas, Jost Van Dyke, Tortola, all of the British, like those type of islands we had been to, and definitely before and after was like, when you look at your pictures from one to the other, it's crazy. Okay. So do we think that the St. John is a central character? I would say yes. I would certainly say it was. And there is some places that she references that I did look up that are on my list when I go to St. John. So the one that is no longer in existence is the Kinneil Bay Resort, and that's where Ayers and Rosie work. So that was destroyed by the Hurricane Irma and did not open, unfortunately. So there is lots of places that are still there that are on my itinerary to go to St. John. And so the first one is Trunk Bay Beach. And I did actually print out a little bit on each one. So Trunk Bay Beach is known for snorkeling, is one of their major things. Explore one of the most beautiful beaches in the world, featuring an underwater snorkeling trail. Now, I'm not a water person. Most of you know that. So I won't be snorkeling, but we are definitely going to be doing an island tour as well as sort of a water type of tour as well. Maho Bay, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, Maho or Maho Bay. Swimming with the turtles, so that's a big thing. Head to Maho Bay for its calm waters and excellent chances to see some sea turtles. So, of course, in Hawaii, that's one of our favorite things to do is the place that we stay at. The turtles will come right onto the rocks, so it's amazing. So, hey, Tracy. Hi. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Pam. Hi, guys. Yes, so it's going to be an amazing experience, especially since I can put some names to faces. Names to places, I should say, not faces. Watermelon Key. So that is not referenced in the book. Take a boat trip to this popular spot for exceptional snorkeling surrounded by vibrant marine life. And Cinnamon Bay, which actually is one of the bays that we will be visiting on the tour. Enjoy the soft sands and clear waters of Cinnamon Bay Beach. And when you think of those beaches, imagine a postcard with crystal blue water, white sand, and palm trees. Like, it is like in your mind's eye what you think of when you think of a tropical island. Like, it's just amazing. And then there's also some restaurants that are actual. They talk about Lime Out. That's the taco truck. So enjoy taco bar, I should say, a floating taco bar, which does exist. Enjoy tacos and drinks at this unique floating taco bar in Hanson Bay. Skinny Legs, which is where Huck goes for his, that's sort of Huck's haunt, basically. And that is a real place. A popular spot in Coral Bay, known for its casual atmosphere and famous painkiller cocktails. So Joost van Dyke is the birthplace of the painkiller. Had one there. If they say you should just really have one, you should really just have one. I did just have one, but we saw people and like they go down so smooth, you would never think you were drinking anything else other than like coconut something. The people that had 2 or 3 and they come in a little tiny glass like this, you're like, oh, I'll just have to get a couple. It's straight booze. So reason it tastes delicious, just have one. Okay, and then the last one is Mongoose Junction. Shop for local crafts, enjoy your rum tasting, and experience the island's vibrant atmosphere. So all of those are real places, right? So when I was researching the tour that I want to book, I took that into consideration and really, like, it really added to the flavor of the book for me. So the last thing, and Hawk's Nest Beach is the other one. That's where the kids went, I think, in the book. And the other thing that's, I think, is the interesting character is sort of the contrasts from Iowa to St. John. So here we have the central character is Russ. We have 2 different female partners. We have Iowa, steady, staid, very sort of like, what's the best way to say it? Very much more like traditional. Okay. Then we have the mistress, Rosie, who is loud and voracious and bright and bold and sunny and just so vibrant, right? And so those are the 2. She's really done a great job of painting those 2 women in terms of the islands, right? Or in terms of the island or the mainland, right? So it's winter, it's gray, it's January, it's blah, or it's carnival, it's sunrise, it's, fun. And so she does a great job of painting those 2 realities. And so both are existing on a parallel universe for Russ, right? He goes from one to the other. So what do you think? Do you think that this book could have been written with another island? And if so, what island could you see it? So the only thing that I could think of would be, I would think Hawaii, or I would think Tahiti, somewhere exotic, right? Like, it's got to be the wow factor, I think. Joost van Dyke is super, like, that's my favorite Caribbean island, but it's super small. And we've only ever been to the one, it's called White Bay. So we actually haven't even been to the other side of the island on my bucket list. So, okay, so that was question number 2. The island of St. John as a central character, yay or nay? I am voting yay, 100%. Hi, Shelly. How's it going? Okay, so next we have number 3. And this is an easy one because I think most of us can sort of pull in our head what this answer to this question might be. Who is your favorite character and why? So definitely, like, so many great characters, and the characters are so developed, I think, in this book. So for those of you who haven't read it or haven't gotten all the way through it, so we have Irene, the protagonist. We have Baker, firstborn son. We have Cash, secondborn son. We have Huck, the captain. We have Maya, Rosie's daughter and Huck's granddaughter. We have Rosie, who coincidentally is not in the book in a living form. So I thought the author did a really great job of bringing the memories back and writing about her in the present tense through diary entries, through memories, that kind of thing. So that really takes a lot of expertise, I think, is to really let the reader know a character and feel like she's part of the book without her actually existing in the timeline of the book, right? Interesting. I thought that was really well done. We have Russ again. So somebody who didn't exist in the book, but same as Rosie. Although I don't find that the character of Russ was as developed as some, right? Like once you get into the second and third book, you learn more about Russ and what and the backstory behind it. But I thought that it was fairly shallowly developed in this book, personally. Then we have Tilda, we have Ayers, and then we have a couple of sort of supporting characters. We have Paulette, we have Marilyn Monroe, a couple of other, we have Mick, Bridget. So there's a couple different. So who in the book is your favorite character and why? So that's the next thing to sort of chew on a little bit. So I don't know about you guys. I like the character of Irene. I'm not going to say she's my favorite character. My favorite character, I think, is Huck. And I think because he sort of seems like gruff around the edges, but has a heart of gold. And he's a character that didn't grow up on the island. So he is what they call a foreigner or whatever. He married his first wife, Leanne, who was a local. And that's how he sort of became kind of local. But I think when you're not born on an island like that, you're always regarded as a foreigner forever, your whole life. And so I like the fact that he sort of has his foot in both cultures. So he feels local because he's lived there for a long time. And I love the fact that he is sort of taken on that parent role for Maya. I mean, he in the beginning of the book, he said, I secretly hoped for a boy, but then I realized that a granddaughter would be the best first mate. And I love that. So he is very devoted to her. And yet, sort of steps into the parental role when necessary towards the later part of the book. But he always has her best interest in mind and always really just tries to do his best, right? So in the beginning, he was just sort of a very even keel, right? I'm just going to see what the girls are saying. Huck, my favorite. See, mine too, Arlene. I enjoyed all the characters and would pick Ayers as my favorite, Pat said. Ayers was my number 2. Pat, I agree with you 100%. I loved her character as well. And the Ayers and Mick storyline, I thought that was a scream. So I really like that one too. Yeah. So anyway, so back to Huck. So I love that Huck was sort of like, it was even keel. And then he has this, oh my God, this is the worst day of my life moment. Okay. So we know why that is. But then when Irene comes out in the charter, all of a sudden things start to change a little bit. Like he still has that real rough, gruff exterior, and she's guarded as well. But I love the relationship that starts to develop between those two. So we're going to go on to the next question for this. So by far, I'm not going to say, no, not by far. My favorite character is Huck. Pat, I would say Ayers would probably be my number 2 character. The 2 sons, I thought they were okay. They weren't my favorite characters. They did things that I didn't think that they should do. So, but yes, Ayers. And I love that she stepped in and showed up, right? That's what I like about Air's character the best. Okay, so favorite character and why? And the last question that I had prepared, and if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to post them, and I'm sure everybody will kind of comment what their thoughts are. The last question is about romances. And so this would not be a rom-com beach read without some serious romance, right? Okay. Hi, Pat. Pam said Ayers #1 and Huck #2. Okay. So yeah, I would say then Pat, you and Pam were both the same. And that for me, I would be very similar on that. Like very similar. If I had to pick, I would say Huck, but Ayers definitely very close #2. Okay, so lots of romances are going on in this book, like lots of interaction here and there. So first of all, we have Baker and Ayers. Again, a different, very different sort of timeline here. We have Cash and Tilda, which was okay. And I didn't love that whole foursome thing, but whatever. We have Irene and Huck, of course. And then we have Russ and Rosie. So again, kind of an interesting point because those characters existed only subliminally in sort of memories and journal entries and in the background. Yet they are yet they are why the reason that the book was written, but they exist sort of just on a very low timeline, right? So interesting. So if you had to pick a romance from the book, who was your favorite couple? Interesting. So of course mine, Irene and Huck would be, and it's not that I don't like Irene, I do. I find that I guess in this book, she's more guarded than in the second two books. So if you read the second two books, my opinion of Irene changed over the other two books. So I will say that. Yeah. So who is your favorite couple in the book? So chew on that for a moment. Okay. I'm just going to, now that was sort of my my notes. And a couple of other questions just because we have about 3 or 4 more minutes. What was your initial reaction to the unresolved questions of the whole ascension thing? So the FBI component, the corruption component, where's the boss, right? So no idea. Also a character that exists only in the plot line and we never actually meet him. Where did the whole secretary come in, right? Hi, Debbie. I thought Baker felt invisible to his wife. Yes, I agree with you 100%. Sorry, I just had my screen was wonky there. Yeah. So what did you guys think? Like, so after the third book, what actually happened was not exactly what I thought was going to happen in the first book. So there was some twists and turns. Like I thought it was laid out pretty concretely, and then it does twist and turn. So it's really interesting. Okay, does this make you eager to read the next book? So next one, I believe, is Trouble in Paradise, if you're thinking about borrowing from the library. Okay. Or did you feel frustrated at the ending? So when I read this book first, the other two weren't out. So the thing that was frustrating was that I had to wait. It's like when you watch a show in the olden days, like you had to wait 4 months to see who shot JR, right? Like it ended in April and it didn't start until September. And oh my God, or like Lost. Remember when Lost was like a thing where you had to wait until you found out the next thing? So that's what happened to me with this book. And so now that we can binge television and we can binge watch books that are a trilogy, how did we ever survive before that? So, so I had to wait to see, but I pre-ordered them as soon as they came out. Oh yeah, I'm getting them. Okay, so who is reading the? Oh, Pam said I'm starting number 2 tonight. Yes, I know, right? Oh, so good. Okay, now what other questions did I have here? Let's see. Unresolved questions. Invisible Man. Okay. I already talked about that. We talked about that. Secrets and okay, here we go. This is a fun one. Secrets and Deception. Winter in Paradise explores how the truth can unravel a carefully constructed life. So it's funny how when you are sort of on the outside looking in, like if you were looking at Irene and Russ as a citizen of Iowa City, you would think, wow, like they have this great Victorian house. It's been remodeled. She's a magazine editor. It must be so glamorous. He travels all the time. They got the Mercedes in the driveway and all that. It must be so great, right? And so sometimes when you are on the inside looking out, all you want is something else, right? So I thought that was kind of an interesting way to look at it. How do secrets affect the different characters? Well, that's pretty obvious. Irene thought everything was perfect, and Russ obviously, he just placated her, right? Bought her gifts, called her from here and there, and I guess they didn't have call. Well, she has call display because she knew the area code was not where he should have been, but kind of just placated her with gifts and whatever, and then just kind of did his own thing. And so what does the book suggest about how people handle deception? So Cash and Baker handled it differently. And even the whole thing with like the Ayers and Tilda thing. And so the deception part about that is part of the story, but for me, I didn't know that it really, it kept you guessing, but I wasn't sure how it was going to end up, put it to you that way. Okay. Where are we? Where are we time for time? 7:41. So 4 minutes. So I've got I told myself 45 minutes. That's it. And what else do we have here? Oh yeah. This is a fun one to finish with. Okay. The meaning of paradise. Interesting. So this is a bonus question. The title of the book suggests a false sense of security. What does the novel have to say about the difference between appearance and reality, especially when it comes to the idea of paradise? Interesting. So, so we think, as let's say we're Canadians or Americans or whatever, when we think of the Caribbean and Caribbean islands, we think of island life. Like I think of international house hunters, like when they're trying to buy a house on an island or whatever. I love watching those shows. You see it's the water, the palm trees, the cocktails, the sitting on the beach, the high-rise hotels, the 5 stars. So to me, that's what I think of when I think of a Caribbean island in paradise. So when you live on a Caribbean island, I'm sure that it would be difficult to have things like the common things that we take so much for granted. Big grocery stores, fully stocked shelves. I know after the hurricane, I for some reason got into a BVI group on Facebook. I don't know how that happened. And they were saying how they didn't have supplies. They couldn't rebuild the island because they didn't have lumber. They had no electricity for months and months and months. All of the hotels were shut down. They had no tourists. Tourists, of course, in an economy like that would, basically make or break your season. So when we think of paradise, that's what we think of. But I wonder if we were to ask someone from St. John or St. Martin or St. Thomas or wherever that same question, what would they say? especially if they were maybe someone who worked in the tourism industry. They work long hours, they work hard, it's hot, um, all of those kind of things. They may, struggle to have one or two jobs or three jobs to kind of cobble together a full-time income. They may be not working the entire year because lots of times they shut down that part of the world, those kind of islands for like hurricane season. So September and October, oftentimes a lot of the businesses will shut down and, sort of shelter in place basically. So I wonder the idea of paradise. So when we think of it, that's what we think of. But I wonder if they would maybe not trade, but what they would give to have a fully, I live in a small town. We have two beautiful, fully stocked grocery stores within like, I don't know, 400 feet like of each other of where I'm standing. So if you live in paradise, I know even in some of the yachting groups and stuff on Facebook, they talk about provisioning. So when you're on one of those like fancy boats and stuff, you might hire like a captain and a skipper and a whatever and whatever. And so you would go ashore to provision and they may not have what you need, right? It's just a small island, a small grocery store. Everything is expensive because of the freight, of course. How could it not be? And other than the local produce and that type of thing, you're always going to pay more on an island for anything, right? And so think of even things like, 2-day delivery of things, or you order something, you order a book online and it comes in 2 days. Like how long would it take to come if you lived in St. John? Like, would it take a month? Would it take 3 weeks? Would it like, you just don't know, right? So let's end with that. Let's end with the meaning of paradise. Definitely suggests a false sense of security. And I don't know so much about that is how I would take that is, what do you feel is paradise? So when you think of, when that word comes to the tip of your tongue, what replays in your head? So for me, also Hawaii replays in my head. When we were there, we stayed right on the ocean and there was this little sort of walkway down to a little beach. And like when you walk down there and you saw sea turtles, like kind of coming up on the rocks, like 10 feet beside you, the most amazing sunsets that you've ever seen in your life. So to me, when I think of the word paradise, that's what I think of. And so lots of different ways to think about that. But when you're living, and I think the character of Maya definitely challenges that a little bit, because as a teenager, she wants all of the things that every other teenager in the world has, right? But sometimes just not available, right? So anyways, yeah. Okay, 7:47, that's it. I'm going to cut myself off from, I was trying to make this 45 minutes. Sorry, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're joining me from YouTube, thank you so much. You're joining me from Facebook, thank you so much. We are thrilled that everybody really liked the book. And our August box, we kind of thought this was a perfect way to sort of put an end cap on the August box. I have very good news to share for the September box. So all of the September boxes, with the exception of 2 people who I'm waiting on payment information on, whether I've reached out and I haven't got back to them. So just 2 boxes. We are sold out of September, but everybody's is en route. So hallelujah. It was a bit of a stretch there. We do anticipate October being definitely a little bit more on time. So we do have 280 boxes for October. We are going to cap out our subscription at 300. So if you do want to subscribe and you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and do that. We do have boxes available for October. So September is sold out, but you will get October probably within about 3 weeks. So not too long to wait. And once we get to 300, we are going to close the subscription and then open it again in June when we do our product launch, or we do our little kind of new subscriber launch as well. So yeah. So it's going great. We have a couple of great boxes coming down the pipe. So October, November, and December, I am so excited for. So we have some kind of fun little interactive aspects of it. This is not something that we do every month. So if you are new and you're just joining us for the very first time, we don't have an extra episode every single month, but we do try to have something interactive. So I'm not going to say what the September theme is because people are just opening their box, but there may be maybe a little cooking episode coming your way after the September Blingo box is all opened and revealed. So you just never know. Thank you guys so much for joining me. We look forward to seeing you Wednesdays. This is a double video week. So Wednesday, Shop Social with Kim. And the 14th coming up for September Blingo already. Can't wait. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to get off my YouTube first. And please feel free to continue to chat in the comments. I'm going to go home and chit chat as well with you guys once I get cozy on the couch. And please let me know if you're going to start the second book right away. And I look forward to chatting about that as well. Talk to you guys later. Have a good evening. Bye, YouTube. Okay. And I'm just going to pull my Facebook